The average car dies at 90,000 kilometers. But in a small German town, a taxi driver just hit 2.8 million kilometers on his original engine. Same roads, same weather, completely different outcome. What separates the cars that barely make it past warranty from the mechanical legends that outlast mortgages? 21 habits. 21 simple changes that transform metal and plastic into indestructible machines. The last habit alone could save you $15,000 in repairs. I learned this the hard way, when my supposedly reliable sedan started making death rattles at 85,000 kilometers. My mechanic shook his head and said something that changed everything. You've been driving like everyone else, but cars weren't designed for everyone else. Hack number 1. Transmission oil reality. Why do manufacturers claim transmission oil lasts forever when the most successful taxi companies change theirs every 50,000 kilometers? The truth is brutal. Lifetime oil marketing saves manufacturers warranty costs, not your transmission. But that's not all. When transmission oil breaks down, it creates a domino effect of friction, heat, and metal shavings that turns your smooth gear changes into expensive grinding. Change your transmission oil and filter every 40,000 to 50,000 kilometers, regardless of what the manual says. Professional fleet managers who depend on vehicle longevity never trust lifetime fluid claims. Hack number 2. Blue smoke warning. Picture this, you're sitting at a red light when blue smoke starts billowing from your exhaust pipe like a distress signal. That blue cloud isn't just embarrassing, it's your engine literally consuming itself, burning oil that should be protecting metal surfaces. It gets worse. Every drop of oil burning in your combustion chamber is a drop not lubricating your pistons, bearings, and valve train. Address blue smoke immediately by checking valve seals, piston rings, and oil levels before minor wear becomes major destruction. The mechanic who ignores blue smoke today becomes the customer paying for engine rebuilds tomorrow. Hack number 3. Throttle body secret. Most drivers never clean their throttle body until their car starts bucking like an angry horse at idle. This innocent-looking component controls the air entering your engine, but when carbon deposits build up, it's like trying to breathe through a dirty straw. The reason this is happening involves modern fuel formulations that leave more residue than older gas blends. Clean your throttle body every 30,000 kilometers using proper throttle body cleaner and a soft brush. This 15-minute job prevents rough idling, stalling, and the expensive diagnostic fees mechanics charge when your car acts possessed. Hack number 4. Oil quality truth. I once watched a friend destroy a perfectly good engine by using bargain bin oil that cost half the price of quality synthetic. He saved $40 per change and spent $4,000 on a rebuilt engine 18 months later. But listen to this. The molecular structure of cheap oil breaks down under heat and pressure, creating sludge that clogs oil passages and starves critical engine components. Use only oil that meets your manufacturer's exact specifications, change it on schedule, and never extend intervals to save money. Quality oil is the cheapest insurance policy your engine will ever have. Hack number 5. Highway therapy. Your engine needs weekly therapy sessions, and the highway is its psychologist. Short city trips never allow your engine to reach optimal operating temperature, leaving moisture and fuel residue in the oil like toxins in an unhealthy relationship. It gets crazier when you realize that one 30-minute highway drive burns off more harmful deposits than a week of stop-and-go city driving. Take your car on the highway at least once weekly, maintaining steady speeds for 20-30 minutes to let the engine breathe, heat cycle properly, and vaporize contaminants. Professional mechanics call this blowing out the cobwebs for good reason. Hack number 6. Empty tank trap. How often do you let your fuel gauge kiss the red zone before reluctantly visiting a gas station? This seemingly harmless habit is slowly assassinating your fuel system from the inside out. But that's not all. When your tank runs low, the fuel pump works overtime, generating excessive heat while sucking up sediment and debris that normally settles at the bottom of your tank. It gets worse when you realize that modern fuel pumps are cooled by being submerged in gasoline. Running on fumes literally overheats this expensive component. Keep at least a quarter tank of fuel at all times, and never treat your gas gauge like a countdown timer. Your fuel pump and injectors will reward you with decades of reliable service instead of expensive roadside breakdowns.
And number 7. Gearbox inspection.
You're cruising down the highway when suddenly your transmission starts whining like a wounded animal, slipping between gears like it's lost its grip on reality. This nightmare scenario doesn't happen overnight. It's the result of months or years of ignored warning signs that whisper before they scream. The reason this is happening involves transmission fluid that's been cooking itself into sludge, creating friction where smoothness should reign. Check your transmission regularly for unusual noises, burnt smells, or fluid leaks that look red or brown instead of bright pink. Catching transmission problems early costs hundreds instead of thousands. A rebuilt transmission is a financial disaster that proper maintenance easily prevents. Hack number 8. PCV valve mystery. Here's something that will blow your mind. A tiny valve costing $15 can destroy a $5,000 engine if neglected. The positive crankcase ventilation valve controls pressure inside your engine, but when it fails, your car becomes a ticking time bomb of oil leaks and internal damage. But listen to this. Most drivers have never heard of this valve, yet it's responsible for preventing engine oil from turning into sludge that clogs vital passages. Replace your PCV valve every 40,000 to 60,000 kilometers, or whenever you notice oil leaks, rough idling, or excessive oil consumption. This 5-minute job prevents thousands in engine repairs. Ignore the PCV valve, and your engine will eventually strangle itself on its own fumes. Hack number 9. MAF sensor magic. My neighbor's car started guzzling gas like a drunk sailor after she ignored a simple maintenance task for 3 years. Her mass airflow sensor had become so dirty it couldn't accurately measure incoming air, causing her engine computer to dump excess fuel into the combustion chambers. It gets crazier when you discover that a dirty MAF sensor can reduce fuel economy by 15% while simultaneously damaging your catalytic converter with rich fuel mixtures. Clean your MAF sensor every 30,000 kilometers using specialized MAF cleaner. Never use anything else, as regular cleaners damage the delicate sensing elements. This $10 maintenance task prevents hundreds in fuel costs and thousands in catalytic converter replacement. A clean MAF sensor is like giving your engine computer perfect vision. Hack number 10. Noise detective. Listen to your car like a doctor listens to a heartbeat. Every unusual sound is a symptom begging for attention before it becomes a catastrophe. That subtle whining from the wheel bearing, the faint knocking from the engine, or the squealing from the belt system aren't just annoying background noise. They're your car's desperate attempt to communicate. But that's not all. Professional mechanics know that catching problems by sound prevents 80% of major mechanical failures, yet most drivers turn up the radio instead of investigating. Train your ears to recognize normal operating sounds, then immediately investigate anything new or different. It gets worse when minor noises evolve into complete component failures that leave you stranded. A bearing that whispers today will scream tomorrow and go silent forever the day after. Your car is constantly talking. The question is whether you're listening. If these habits are already transforming how you think about car maintenance, wait until you see what's coming next. Hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell because the remaining 10 habits include the single most overlooked maintenance task that separates amateur car owners from the pros who keep vehicles running for decades. Hack number 11. Throttle recalibration. What happens when your car's computer loses track of where your throttle should be, causing erratic idling that makes your engine sound like it's having an identity crisis? Modern vehicles rely on precise throttle position data, but cleaning or replacing components can confuse the system like amnesia, affecting a computer's memory. The reason this is happening involves electronic throttle bodies that need to relearn their baseline positions after maintenance or battery disconnection. Recalibrate your throttle body after cleaning it or whenever you experience rough idling, stalling, or poor acceleration response. This simple procedure usually involves turning the key to the on position for 30 seconds without starting the engine. Proper throttle calibration transforms jerky performance into smooth, responsive power delivery. If these habits are already transforming how you think about car maintenance, wait until you see what's coming next. Hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell because the remaining 10 habits include the single most overlooked maintenance task that separates amateur car owners from the pros who keep vehicles running for decades. Hack number 12. Cold start strategy. Picture this winter morning. You rush outside, fire up your ice-cold engine, and immediately slam it into drive for a high-speed sprint to work, wondering why your transmission feels sluggish and your engine sounds like it's grinding coffee beans. This violent wake-up call subjects cold metal components to thermal shock that creates microscopic cracks and accelerated wear patterns. But listen to this. Professional fleet managers who maintain thousands of vehicles never allow cold engines to work hard until they reach operating temperature. Wait 30 seconds after starting, then drive gently for the first few minutes while your engine and transmission gradually warm up. Cold metal is brittle metal, and brittle metal breaks expensive things. Patience during cold starts adds years to engine life and prevents premature component failure. Hack number 13. Idle killer. Here's something that will revolutionize your relationship with your ignition key. Extended idling is more destructive to your engine than driving at highway speeds for the same duration. When your engine idles, it operates below optimal temperature, allowing fuel to wash oil from cylinder walls while creating carbon deposits that accumulate like arterial plaque. It gets crazier when you realize that 10 minutes of idling uses more fuel than restarting your engine 5 times, while generating 0 miles of useful transportation. Turn off your engine during waits longer than 30 seconds, except in extreme weather when cabin comfort matters more than mechanical longevity. Professional drivers who maximize vehicle lifespan treat extended idling like smoking, a habit that slowly kills what you're trying to preserve. Hack number 14. Tire timeline. My uncle thought he was being smart by keeping his perfectly good tires for 8 years, bragging about how much tread remained while ignoring the sidewall cracks that looked like spider webs spreading across aging rubber. One rainy afternoon, his rear tire exploded at 70 km/h, sending him spinning across 3 lanes of traffic in a terrifying reminder that tire age matters more than tread depth. But that's not all. Rubber compounds deteriorate over time regardless of mileage, with heat, UV rays, and ozone creating invisible structural weaknesses that turn reliable tires into rolling time bombs. Replace tires every 6 years regardless of tread depth, and always check the manufacturing date on the sidewall. Those 4 digits tell you when your tires were born. It gets worse when you realize that old tires don't just risk blowouts, they compromise braking, handling, and fuel economy. Fresh rubber saves lives and money. Hack number 15, fuel filter facts. Think of your fuel filter as your engine's kidneys. When it stops cleaning properly, everything downstream gets poisoned with contaminants that destroy expensive components like a slow-acting toxin. Modern gasoline contains more ethanol and additives than ever before, creating residue that clogs fuel systems and turns precision injection components into expensive paperweights. The reason this is happening involves today's tighter emission standards requiring cleaner fuel delivery, making your fuel filter work harder than previous generations. Replace your fuel filter every 30,000 to 50,000 kilometers, or whenever you notice hard starting, rough idling, or loss of power during acceleration. This $30 part protects $1,000 fuel pumps and injectors from premature failure. But listen to this. A clogged fuel filter doesn't just reduce performance, it forces your fuel pump to work overtime, generating heat that kills this expensive component months or years earlier than necessary. Hack number 16. Alignment alchemy. Why do some drivers replace tires every 30,000 kilometers while others get 100,000 kilometers from identical rubber, driving the same roads under similar conditions? The secret lies in 4 tiny measurements that most people ignore until their steering wheel fights them like an angry snake. Proper wheel alignment ensures your tires contact the road at optimal angles, preventing uneven wear patterns that waste rubber and reduce safety. It gets crazier when you discover that misalignment doesn't just destroy tires, it forces your engine to work harder, reducing fuel economy while creating vibrations that accelerate wear throughout your suspension system. Check your alignment every 12 months or after hitting significant potholes, curbs, or debris that could knock your wheels out of specification. Professional alignment saves hundreds in tire costs while improving handling, fuel economy, and ride comfort. Perfect alignment transforms your car from a wandering liability into a precision driving instrument. Hack number 17. Air filter authority. You're accelerating onto the highway when your engine starts wheezing like an asthmatic runner, struggling to breathe through an air filter so clogged it looks like it survived a sandstorm. This innocent-looking accordion of paper and fabric controls every breath your engine takes. But when it's dirty, your car suffocates while guzzling extra fuel to compensate for restricted airflow. But that's not all. A clogged air filter forces your engine to work harder, reducing power output while increasing fuel consumption by up to 10%. Like trying to sprint while breathing through a straw. Replace your air filter every 12,000 to 15,000 kilometers, or whenever it looks dirty enough to plant flowers. It gets worse when dirty air filters allow contaminants to bypass filtration, creating internal engine wear that costs thousands more than a $15 filter. Clean air equals clean power and maximum efficiency. Hack number 18. Coolant chemistry. Here's a fact that will change everything you think about engine coolant. This colorful liquid isn't just antifreeze. It's a complex chemical cocktail of corrosion inhibitors, lubricants, and pH balancers that prevent your engine from eating itself from the inside out. Over time, these protective additives break down, turning your cooling system into a corrosive environment that destroys water pumps, radiators, and head gaskets, like acid eating through metal. The reason this is happening involves modern engines running hotter and tighter tolerances than ever before, making cooling system chemistry more critical than previous generations realized. Replace your coolant every 40,000 to 50,000 kilometers or every 2 to 3 years, whichever comes first, using only the manufacturer's specified type and mixing ratios. But listen to this. Mixing different coolant types creates chemical reactions that clog passages and accelerate corrosion. Fresh coolant prevents overheating disasters and expensive cooling system repairs. Hack number 19. Mount maintenance. I learned about engine mounts the expensive way when my mechanic showed me how my neglected mounts had allowed my engine to literally punch holes through surrounding components during normal operation. These rubber and metal cushions seem insignificant until they fail, transforming your smooth-running engine into a vibrating jackhammer that destroys everything it touches. But that's not all. Worn engine and transmission mounts create a domino effect of damage, causing excessive wear on drive belts, exhaust systems, and even body panels as your powertrain moves beyond its intended boundaries. Inspect your mounts mounts every 60,000 kilometers or whenever you notice increased vibration, especially at idle. It gets crazier when you realize that replacing worn mounts costs a few $100s, while ignoring them can cause thousands in secondary damage throughout your vehicle. Good mounts keep your engine exactly where engineers intended it to stay. Hack number 20. Electrical excellence. Treat your car's electrical system like the nervous system of a living organism. When connections fail, everything downstream suffers from poor communication that creates mysterious symptoms and expensive misdiagnosis. Corroded grounds, loose connections, and damaged wiring don't just cause component failures, they create phantom problems that drive mechanics and owners insane with intermissions that disappear and reappear, like automotive ghosts. The reason this is happening involves modern vehicles containing more electronic components than ever before, making clean electrical connections absolutely critical for proper operation. Inspect battery terminals, ground straps, and major electrical connections annually, cleaning corrosion with baking soda solution and protecting connections with dielectric grease. But listen to this. A single bad ground connection can simulate expensive computer failures, sensor malfunctions, and charging system problems. Perfect electrical connections prevent diagnostic nightmares and unnecessary part replacement. Hack number 21. Suspension salvation. What's the difference between a car that handles like a precision instrument and one that wallows through corners like a boat in choppy seas? The answer lies beneath you in a complex network of springs, shocks, bushings, and linkages that most drivers completely ignore until something catastrophically fails. Worn suspension components don't just make your ride uncomfortable, they create uneven tire wear, reduce braking effectiveness, and compromise your ability to control the vehicle during emergency maneuvers. It gets worse when you realize that suspension wear happens so gradually that most drivers adapt to declining performance without noticing until replacement reveals how badly their car was actually handling. Inspect your suspension system every 50,000 kilometers. Looking for leaking shocks, worn bushings, or unusual tire wear patterns that indicate alignment issues? Professional maintenance of steering and suspension components ensures your car responds predictably in all driving conditions. A well-maintained suspension system is the foundation of automotive safety and longevity. 21 habits. 21 simple changes that separate the cars dying at 90,000 kilometers from the mechanical legends crossing million-kilometer milestones. But here's what really matters. You don't need to implement all 21 habits tomorrow to start seeing results. Pick 3 that resonate with your current situation. Maybe it's finally changing that transmission oil, listening to those subtle noises, or keeping more fuel in your tank. The compound effect of consistent maintenance creates exponential returns over time. Final disclaimer. This content is for educational purposes only and does not constitute professional automotive advice. Always consult qualified mechanics and follow manufacturer recommendations for your specific vehicle's maintenance needs.